Welcome to WDPK Radio, and this is the Thom and Joe show, where I am referencing the wrong Daft Punk album.
Stop the podcast and go home. I repeat, stop the podcast and go home.
Anyway, welcome to the Thom and Joe show. I'm Joe.
Je m'appelle Thom.
Yep.
Yes, we're doing Daft Punk. We're doing not Daft Punk's first album, Homework, which Joe just referred to there, but we are doing Daft Punk's second album, Discovery.
Yes. Both albums are very important to me, but, you know, this one is having its 25th anniversary, so we're doing that one. This one.
We're doing that one, and we're also, if the title card isn't revealing everything, we're also doing the associated attached video album, which I suppose a video thing, the Interstella 5555, the story of the secret star system, but you've got to imagine all those S's that I've just mentioned are all fives.
Yes.
Which is directed, and I'm going to use directed in the air quotes here, or sort of, collaborated with Leiji Matsumoto. We'll get into how that might not be entirely accurate when we get to that part of the
visual
episode.
supervisor.
Yes. The visual supervisor, which means basically he did, slap my name on it, put a bit of footage about me talking about stuff, and I guess yes, I will take your money now.
Yes.
Yeah,
Matsumoto did more of that than a lot of his fans would like to admit.
Yes, yeah. We were. I mean, this is sort of the thing. We were going to do this when Leiji Matsumoto passed, and it's sort of and then the moment sort of passed, and we went, let's actually do it, and now we're doing it. So hey, here we are talking about.
Yeah, and I thought you had already picked this one, and I was ramming my head for what could be my third choice. No. And then I realized, wait a minute, you didn't pick Daft Punk Discovery.
I did not pick the Discovery. No, I did. We'll get to...
okay, I will pick that one up then.
Yeah. We'll get to because this is your second pick. We'll get to my second pick at the end of this episode, and it is a big one. It is a very, very big, important record. Yeah, so where do we start with this? Do you know who Daft Punk are, etc.? This is by that point they become robots and
yes.
Yeah.
This wasn't their entire setup, believe it or not. When they were doing Homework, they were just two French DJs getting together and they liked the same stuff, so they just made a band together, and then they made Homework, and then somewhere along the line, in 1999 or later, they decided that because of Y2K or whatever, there was a glitch on September 9th, 1999, and so on and so forth, that something happened that turned them into robots.
The quote which I've chosen to put at the beginning of the episode. I'm going to do this in an outrageous French accent. We did not choose to become robots. There was an accident in our studio. We were working on our sampler, and at exactly 9:09 a.m. on September 9th, 1999, it exploded. When we regained consciousness, we discovered that we have become robots. And that has got me banned from France now. But
I got you. I am not allowed to speak much French. I will have to for the sake of this podcast. I will at least have to try to say their names and other things. But Thom, if you haven't noticed, is English, and they are natural mortal enemies with the French. I, on the other hand, took Spanish, and it's not that I didn't know a little bit of French. I can't say it because I do not know how this language works besides take the last syllable off. And 9 times out of 10 you're right, which is not the way you go about doing French, because from their perspective, we have to use your language. When we came up with the Olympics, we have to do English and French now, because otherwise it all just goes to hell. So why don't you just do the bare minimum for us, which is reasonable, but they still get, some of them get really snotty about it, but which is, most people don't. It's just people are people, but like, again, Daft Punk is two Frenchmen.
Yes.
Thomas Ben Galter and Guy Manuel de Homen Cristo.
Yeah, oui. And you can tell they are very French names. They're very, very French people. I think. Anyway, but, they were. As I said, again, we could have done an episode of, like, when they broke up, like, now 5 years ago. I mean, God, that time has flown frighteningly. Extremely, if you haven't listened to Daft Punk, Hello, How Is Your Rock? Extremely influential, like, French house electronic band that basically kind of, took house music from sort of the sort of thing that you're listening to in the suburbs of Paris and basically turned it into the sort of thing you go to a large stadium in your American city outskirts and watch these two French lunatics in their glow in the dark pyramids sort of like change music forever. Soundtrack the second best Tron film. And obviously released most recently before they broke up, the sort of disco throwback record, Random Access Memories, which I really like, and at some point we'll have to do as an anniversary episode. But
I have some friends who didn't like it because it got all the awards, and they didn't. It's like, I just want the jams from you guys. Like, what is this, concept that they're doing? Because you don't need to know the concept to get discovery, or at least, get as a decent amount out of discovery. But you do kind of need to know the concept behind random access memories. Yeah,
with the simplest way to explain it is, here is the history of like disco music and how it became house, electronic music, basically. It's sort of like it starts out at like, straight out disco, and it sort of ends up with probably, I think, one of my favourite Daft Punk songs of all time, which is just Contact, which is just, an extraterrestrial fucking wig out, which is, incredible. Oh, they also did, Human After All, the album that nobody particularly ever seems to put at the top of their Daft Punk favourite Daft Punk album list.
I will talk about this later. But I think Human After All is terrible. And I say that as somebody who holds Daft Punk very near and dear.
Oh, definitely, yeah. It's the weakest of their 4 albums. Which, considering their 4 albums are like 3 of the pillars of like electronic music, is kind of Let's just say that that I feel some people go, Daft Punk did 4 albums. Homework. Obviously what we're talking about to get today, Discovery, the Tron Legacy soundtrack, and Random Access Memories.
Yes. And
definitely just those 4 records.
Yeah. The weird thing is, they fell off the map after Human After All, and they didn't really have this reputation as like this lovable band for everybody until like, I think, Tron Legacy, and then maybe a little bit afterwards, because
I would say to a certain extent Alive 2007 sort of rehabilitated them, because it's like now watch this in a live environment and watch like Middle America collectively lose their fucking minds.
I will say that 2007 did have too much of Human After All on it, which is why it's a little, I don't know, it's a little dodgy for me. But there was, like, Discovery wasn't an instant classic when it came out. Like, it got good reviews mostly. But it was like, it was an evolution of an EDM band or an electronica band, as they were originally called. And they're like, it's really good. I mean, I think Entertainment Weekly is the only thing I remember reviewing it at the time, and they were like, they're having too much fun with this. They need to stay on point, and I don't know exactly what the fun part. I mean, yes, they're having fun experimenting with sounds and stuff, but there's not like jokes in the music, like literally in the music. Like they're not like all of the songs are with lyrics are just pretty much songs with lyrics. They're very simple, but you know, they do the job and they get to the heart of things. But I don't know. It's just maybe they were, you know, messing around too much for the critics' sake or something. But like, this wasn't a 5-star. Like, this is an instant classic, and it took a few years to realize, like, for one reason or another, how much we love Daft Punk. And I don't know exactly when that came about, when it's just like they were announced for Tron Legacy, and then just some instant nostalgia came back for like Tron and Daft Punk, and we're like, yes, this.
They got it here,
yeah.
There certainly has been a lot of like revisionism on this. It's like, you know, you can look at the reviews of, say, for example, Pitchfork, where Pitchfork gave it like a 6.4, which is like a solid score. And then they went back
solid
and,
score
like,
for Pitchfork, especially an EDM album.
And then Pitchfork went basically when they did this. I think it was about 2021 when they went, okay, we're gonna like rejig our scoring system, and here are like some records that we really should have given. And they upgraded it from a 6 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10, which is like, you know,
I wouldn't even
ridiculous.
do that. I would give it a 9 out of 10. No. Granted, I love this album, but we'll get into that as well. But it's just like Daft Punk definitely have a similar weakness to other electronic people, even though like they were ahead of the curve as far as things like they were like when they did Homework, like everybody started copying their Homework, so their big thing with Discovery was they were making new sounds, and that was to, you know, rejuvenate disco or like a lot of music from between 1975 and 1985, and they were way ahead of like, you know, rejuvenating disco. Like now it's not a thing. I mean, people just do that because, wow, this stuff is so fun and it's so amazing and the sound is so full. And
you can't just say Bruno Mars. You can't just say Bruno Mars, Joe. It's like Bruno Mars has basically made a career on like, hey, remember disco?
Bruno Mars did 70s, 80s, and 90s. He did New Jack Swing. Like he did everything nostalgia. So it's not just Bruno Mars.
No. But he has sort of like rounded the he's a particularly notable example of like, hey, remember disco, and like how your parents and probably your parents thought this was tremendously uncool. Fuck them, this was amazing.
And then eventually we got the Drive soundtrack, which brought synthwave into the mix, and we just got, you know, all of this music from like the late 70s to the mid to late 80s that we kind of ignored. This is all really good, and it's a real mood. And if we can like put some lyrics around this mood, like, you know, the Midnight did, and we've done a Midnight album, or, you know, we just play around with this, like, you know, Act 3 by the Proto Men, which is kind of a mix between like synthwave 80s and like super popular pop 80s. Like, we can make something out of this. And
I mean, there is a reason why, particularly like Night Call by Kavinsky, which is like the really famous track from the Drive soundtrack. Would you like to know who's a co-writer on Night Call, Joe?
Who is that?
Guy Manuel de Hom Christo is a co-writer.
There it is. There it is.
It's just Daft Punk behind the scenes all the time. But no, it's sort of like it rejuvenated. Obviously, we have talked about the Midnight, and we will eventually talk about the Proto Men because it's like one of our joint favourite bands. It's like, you know, and even to a certain extent, you know, speaking about Tron, you know, a lot of the Tron Legacy soundtrack, and obviously the soundtrack for, you know, Tron Ares, which is the one good thing about Tron Ares, is again this sort of callback to, you know, again, from obviously from Trent Reznor, and obviously from Atticus Ross, and obviously from Boys Noise, who is another sort of, who basically now seems to be the third member of Nine Inch Nails. It is again harking back to this sort of, this late 70s, early 80s, very analog, very, gritty, bitty sort of synthesizer sound, and I think a lot of that sort of has the sort of the beautifully metallic fingerprints of Daft Punk all over it. Yeah. So
and there's not a lot in the making of it, although like even just cruising the Wikipedia, it has way more on exactly what they used in all of their stuff to make it, which makes me happy, because I kind of like the electronic music stuff, as I am extremely primitive electronic music
I'm not
person.
a gear nerd, but there's a lot of really cool stuff on this. It's like they were I think Bangalter sort of basically typifies what they are trying to do on this record, with the quote, "We're interested in making things that sound like things other than what they are. There are guitars that sound like synthesizers, and there are synthesizers that sound like guitars." It's that sort of, what exactly am I listening to? Where have they produced this sound from? There's obviously a reasonable amount of sampling on this, sort of most notably, there's Yngwie Malmsteen's solo on Aerodynamic, for example, bizarrely enough. I think it's compared to it. Obviously, there's obviously a lot of sampling. There's obviously the most notable sample is obviously the Cola Bottle Baby sample by Edwin Birdsong on Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger. There's a lot of sampling, but also Daft Punk just made their own samples.
They made fake samples, so to make you think it does, and that is the thing I think makes it come out at the right time, because we live in a world right now where nostalgia is a cudgel that slams you in the face, and we have to have revivals of this. We have to have everything has to be attached to an older thing in order to get past. And that's not to say the 80s didn't do that, the 90s didn't do that, and so on and so forth, but it didn't feel so forced. And what they do here is they create something new out of something that feels familiar. And I can say that, and whatever just dropped, but I can say that about the album Discovery, and I can say that about Interstellar 555, because they got Leiji Matsumoto, who was a famous manga artist, and whatever else he put his name on during the 70s and 80s, and his character designs and his aesthetic pretty much was one of the standard Japanese anime aesthetics from that time. So it's put into this this spot where they're trying to bring back, stuff they loved from the 70s and 80s, and they add it to this visual that matches up with what they're trying to do. And it's just, it's simpatico, I would say, or just, it just fits.
It does. It's sort of it is this encapsulation. Obviously, we'll go into sort of the thematic elements of this, but Matsumoto is producing all of his most notable works, Space Battleship Yamato, Harlock, Galaxy Express 999, which obviously is referenced in that exact title of the at that period where all the music that Daft Punk sort of have taken into themselves and sort of later sort of recontextualize into sort of it's a perfect symbiosis of the thing of thing. It's sort of I'm trying to think of another visual style, perhaps with ironically enough, the visual style that sort of comes to mind is that sort of very polished production IG sort of 2000 style, which obviously gets heavily got used in particularly Linkin Park in the I forget which Linkin Park video it is, but one of the Linkin breaking the habit, and there's obviously that is again a really just like perfect, mix of it, because again that's sort of like it's harking, but it captures not just from a visual point of view, it's sort of like this is a visual equivalent of the music. It also links back to the sort of the same influences and the same time period as these two disparate things take their influence from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so we've done all that. Trying to figure out how to approach this because, we have to talk about the CD. We have to talk about the movie, and we've kind of gone through the quick making of it. There's not so much that besides they suddenly became robots.
Yep. French robots.
So
yeah.
I mean,
the problem is with talking about Discovery track by track is that it's a house album, and it is like trying to talk about individual movements or individual sections of a symphony. It's like this is intended. As a sequenced mix to be listened to in sequence, and that is the way you're meant to listen to it. And there is a flow to this. We're gonna do our best anyway.
Yeah, it's probably best to discuss the formation of Interstella 555, and then just when after it got released, they had ideas for music videos, and then Daft Punk decided to go to anime production. So they were big fans of Captain Harlock. So they brought the album to Tokyo and talked to Leiji Matsumoto. And then he approved it, and then he became visual supervisor, production supervisor, whatever else. Mm-hmm. And, they got a producer, and they got Toei Films to work on it, who are they do a lot of, they're mostly Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and whatever else. Yep. And then they did Sailor Moon, and they just kind of do those big audience things. And the director,
oh god, let me find out the director of this is
it's okay, I'm sorry, I had the name right here and then my thing jumped.
Katsuhisa Takanori, who was an episode director on Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, and did a Dr. Slump film, which is also an Akira Toriyama series. Yeah. And various, basically a career man who made some Dragon Ball, who did a lot of
one
Dragon
of the workhorses at Toei is pretty much what I gathered from that. And then, he occasionally directed some episodes of things like Super Sailor Moon S, which I don't know. I think that's the best season of Sailor Moon as far as the original run. But
Toei are as with the director of this are just a workhorse. They just basically go. They basically at the moment they're probably just doing hundreds of episodes of One Piece. It's that's kind of what happens when you're doing this. They kind of churn this stuff out, and they churn out things like they obviously got seasonal stuff at the moment, but they're stuck in the Pretty Cure minds and producing Infinity Dragon Ball content. We're never gonna you're never gonna get something massively doing, but if you want something consistently animated, that's a fairly good group of people to go with.
Yeah.
Ironically, they also did they also, more importantly for the Leiji Matsumoto connection, also did the animation for Galaxy Express 999.
Yeah. Was that the series or movie?
The movie, both. I think, possibly both. Probably both.
Yeah. I need to get through Galaxy 39, my television series. The movies are, you watch them once and you're done, but 39 is both my favorite and a hard watch because it is finding hope in the most hopeless and desperate situations.
Yeah.
just to give a non-spoiler example, they go to Pluto early on, and Pluto is a graveyard of where a frozen graveyard of where people put their human bodies because they couldn't take being human anymore, and they've all become robots. So it is just a graveyard of soulless human bodies, and that's the kind of things you experience on 3-9. And it tries to find hope beyond that. And Leiji Matsumoto, why there's a railroad is because he grew up during post-war Japan after, like, it got firebombed by the Americans. And it was just, everything was just in ashes. And he saw the railroads as hope because they were bringing hope and they were bringing supplies and, you know, the stuff to rebuild. So that's why there's a railways, even though there are a lot of spaceships in this universe that pretty much, like, shows that you don't need a railroad because there's this one spot and then there are just, like, parsecs of space around it where anybody else can go. So it's kind of a thing where you have to take it at its metaphorical value and not think too much about it. But it's like if you don't let that annoy you, it is Galaxy 3-9 is a wonderful series. But Daft Punk were more into Harlock, which is what the cool people are into, and not depression slogs like myself, who like aren't cool. Like the cool people are into Captain Harlock because he's about freedom and he's a drunkard and he slams his vehicle into everybody else, his spaceship.
I mean, obviously you've also got, like, speaking of Captain Harlock, I completely forgot his name. The main guy for the Misfits, the Misfits obviously, took Captain Harlock as Glenn Danzig. Glenn Danzig, like, from when the Misfits were just starting out, would basically cosplay Harlock. It was like, and a lot of obviously punk bands sort of like took that iconography. Captain Harlock I would absolutely recommend like a lot of Leiji Matsumoto manga and some of the anime. He is kind of alongside, I'd say to an extent, Miyazaki in sort of understanding why, and obviously Tezuka in sort of understand. To be fair, actually Go Nagai, he's sort of that part of that great power quartet which sort of goes, this is why anime and manga are like this.
Yeah.
Kind of read these three and, watch Miyazaki movies and obviously to a certain extent obviously Tanaka films and and you kind of have an idea of why the medium is like that.
Yeah.
It kind of amused me.
He is one of the
one left of those three.
He is one of the pillars of modern anime, absolutely. Yeah. Even though like he kind of got his money and sold out a lot earlier than a lot of us, and a lot of the projects are really spotty. Like there was after this that people did like Galaxy Railways, which is a Leiji Matsumoto like produced, but everybody else did the work series. The first season really good, except for a couple episodes. The second season absolutely wretched, and there's a Galaxy 3-9 Galaxy Railways crossover movie that is okay, except it focuses on the character who makes season 2 of Galaxy Railways wretched, which is Killian, who is like the most fan fiction character somebody made to replace the actual main character from the first season. And he's just terrible, but he's also like he's now the adopted son of a character from Galaxy Express 3-9, and that's he just is, and they never talk about it until they do this crossover. And it's like that. He's that kind of character.
Yeah, I mean, to sort of indicate how like important Harlock is to like, or how Harlock and Yamato, etc. Hideki Anno is currently busy directing Shin Yamato, which is just, again like yet another Yamato film, because it's like basically it's just a small cottage industry out there just doing sequels and prequels and reimaginings of like Leiji Matsumoto stuff in the same way that obviously a lot of Tezuka stuff gets reinterpreted.
Yeah, and
but
just before we drop Ano has a model of the Yamato in his house.
Yes, the original Yamato, not the
the
space
battleship from
Yamato.
World War II, which makes this all really weird. Like, as Americans, like, trying to, like, oh, what are they thinking? And, like, there's some weird stuff with, Ano, like, the backwards message in 2.22, where it's just, like, being controlled by me is better than being controlled by people outside of yourself, or something like that. Which, what do you mean by that, Ano? Are you trying to get imperialism back here? And it's just one of those things where... We did discuss this at quite some length when we did the Evangelion podcast. And it's like, is this an imperialist message? Is Ano just co-opting? Because I think it's from like some 70s sci-fi. Does he just like cool ships? Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, that's the problem with a lot of military otaku, and I would honestly put Matsumoto into that category at points. It's like, Leiji, this is like a kind of major part of like the Imperial Japanese Navy. Do we need to unpack this? No time. Talk to Daft Punk now. Anyway, so we kind of like start the. Do we want to do track by track? It's like we can do track by track, but there's some stuff I think we're gonna just go, this is a fine track. I can't remember very much about this one. I remember a lot more of it just because it's been with me for decades. But we can do track by track.
We start very, very strongly with One More Time, which is just genuinely just fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's probably the track you remember the most because it's the first one, and also it's one of the songs they break out during this until Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger kind of took over, because everybody took that song. It was used in a lot of commercials. Kanye West got to it. I'll talk about that later if we get to it, but yeah, I know.
I mean, you say that Drake got to One More Time and everybody basically punched him for that, which is like...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just sampled in Drake's Circo Loco from somebody else's album.
Yeah,
in 2022, by which
just
everybody
making content, period. And beyond being shitty, it's just like it was a point where Drake was just making albums, and I could swear like half of them are just made up. But you watch Todd Shadow every year, and it's just like, yep, this existed and this charted. I guess
obligatory Drake product has been released.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is a very strong start to the record. It's like, it is basically, I mean, Daft Punk themselves just like this was completed in 1998, like 4 years before 2 years before this came out, and like another 3 months before, 3-4 months before the album came out. This is obviously and obviously Daft Punk regard this as almost the link between Homework and Discovery, and absolutely I can imagine this right at the end of, Discovery, as the final track, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's not too much. It's pretty much I guess if you want to go back to Todd in the Shadows, it's a "We're Back, Bitch" song, which and it's already in EDM, which he isn't a big fan of, but it's a great little song that, obviously when the critics got a hold of all of the songs with lyrics, they're like, oh, this is middle school poetry, or these are very basic songs to be charitable, but it gets that verb, it gets you going. It's like, yes, we are ready to party again with Daft Punk, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
And it feels so good.
Yeah. This song contains this is one of the particularly strange little footnotes of it. So this samples a disco song by a gentleman called Eddie Johns, who is apparently from Liberia. And basically, Daft Punk obviously, this song also made Daft Punk, a reasonably large amount of money. And obviously, nobody can find Eddie Johns. In 2021, they basically followed somebody basically from the label that obviously owns the song's rights. Went, we can't find him.
We've got the 6 to 7 figure number royalty we would like to give him, but he just has to show up.
Yeah, we basically know like very little about this guy. Yeah, he did this like one disco song, and obviously Daft Punk, being the absolute crate diggers that they are, just went, this sounds cool. Can we find this guy? No idea where he is. But this obviously features also the late. This is like one of the few like appearances of the album. This features the late Anthony doing that. Obviously, that really heavily processed, and that is sort of like typical of like Daft Punk's use of vocals when vocals are in a Daft Punk song. It's that sort of very heavily processed of going, is that a human voice? Is this sort of an electronically generated thing? The use of auto-tune, etc. That sort of very synthesized voice.
Or a vocoder or whatever else. But they master it so it's... You can't quite tell exactly what they're using at any point in time. You just...
No.
They just kind of give you the tools they're using, and you have to guess sometimes.
Yeah. It's a very strong start. Are we going to talk about the individual parts of the narrative for Interstellar 55? We're going to do that in a bit, because I'm sort of like...
We can kind of go along as it is. We can just kind of, like... The first part of the movie is, like, there is this band, they're
aliens.
They're aliens. They're blue. It's kind of like Space Battleship Yamato, except they weren't blue for the longest time in the first run of that. But they're a famous band, and then they have a concert, and the world loves them so much that even the people working security are watching them instead of paying attention to this one ship that is coming in that looks like the Michael Jackson Scream spaceship. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but it's run by this guy in a robe, and then he sneaks in through, and then he suddenly gets his squad of people in black wearing masks to gas everybody and kidnap everybody.
Yeah.
Except for
the band are... They got names apparently, which I never knew before I did. This is the keyboardist Octave, the guitarist is Arpeggios, the drummer Barrel, who looks sort of like what happens if you run Keith Moon through the Leiji Matsumoto character generator, and Stella, who is sort of one of the two love interests in this film. Leiji Matsumoto can draw a pretty woman.
Yeah, although it's weird that Stella is in the name, and like she kind of has the standard issue female role. If you want to criticize anything about this as a musical, is that like at one point she's the one who gets left behind while the rest of them escape, and then later she's the one who has to be used to operate the machine at the climax, and like she kind of, and then a soldier is smitten, so she's just kind of the girl of the plot. It's kind of that kind of old, which goes with the times, but considering there is a lesbian couple at the beginning, like with One More Time, like you can probably make some adjustments, because there are strong female characters in Leiji Matsumoto works, even when it was back in the 70s, even though there are some, and like his character design is a little weird. Like there's like a lot of the women have this anorexic look to them, and they're just kind of very svelte, and like their waists disappear, and that's kind of the one woman design that they have, even though there are 3 or 4 dude designs, including like potato people, who some of the potato people have like eyebrows at the top, and some their eyes are at the top. And like if people have problem with Leiji Matsumoto's character designs, I get it. These are like, you have to accept a lot with Leiji Matsumoto's stuff, and you go,
it's a house style,
Galaxy Railway, and then there's all of these character design stuff. But if you can get through that, they are wonderful. You just it's a big ask, and if you didn't live in this, where this was part of the aesthetic, I I understand why this will bother you.
You kind of have to remember that like a lot of like one half of Galaxy Express's major like character dynamic is a small potato boy. It's like he's a small potato boy in a hat. It's like it's a little bit like occasionally you got to go, yes, the emotional center of this film is a woman who's like 3-4 times taller than our protagonist.
And she is very designed like a 70s idea of a blonde woman. Just like, I mean, if she wasn't this, she would be making like folk albums where she has like, she would have some like weird spooky voice or something like that. Yeah. I don't know how you would exactly describe it.
Maytel does sort of look like you sort of like vaguely drawn. I've just like, completely forgotten. I was gonna say Carole King, but it's not Carole King. It's the other one. It's you sort of drawn anime Joni Mitchell and sort of dressed her up as a Russian like spy.
She'd be a understudy for Fleetwood Mac or something.
Yeah, it's sort of like the adventures of Stevie Nicks and Potato Boy across like the Train universe. I'm doing Galaxy Express down and like obviously Galaxy Express is hugely influential. He says playing fucking Honkai Star Rail, a game that literally goes, but what if Anime Woman, Hot, and Galaxy Express 999, and less potato people? Anyway, we'll get back to Daft Punk now.
But yes, we'll get back to Daft Punk. Yeah. So they get kidnapped and they get taken to Earth, where it turns out the guy in the mask guy in the robes is a record executive, and also this Duke who has lived for hundreds of years. Well, that's a part of the script. It's basically one long music video movie, and it's not the Wall. Pink Floyd's The Wall. So if you think about it too much, your brain's gonna, want to be fed, and that's just not what this kind of experience is.
You've got to kind of contextualize it and sort of indicate, this film is great, but it doesn't really work as like it's not like Purple Rain where there is a separate enough of a narrative going on that you can go, okay, I can watch Purple Rain and never actually have to listen to the album at the same time, or something like Yellow Submarine, where again you can sort of watch Yellow Submarine and never have to listen to the. This kind of doesn't really stand out on its own as a visual part of Discovery. Fantastic, as music videos for the individual Discovery tracks. I have problems with like some of them, like. This is tremendous. Like I'm watching, like for example, Harder, Faster, Stronger, and it's like there isn't much going on for like the lead single from this album.
Yes, but I do think they go hand in hand in making each other better.
Definitely,
I do not think Discovery is the untouchable album it is today without Interstellar 5555, and as we go track to track, well, I'll talk about the middle of the album, which is where I would have the issues with, and it's the main issues that Daft Punk usually have as songmakers, and that will flow into all of that. But so the band is kidnapped, they are taken to Earth, and their memories are wiped, they are given mind control stuff, and they are made humans. And then they become the Crescendolls, who are this band, and they steal all of their music, and they become like massive hits on Earth.
Yeah.
And that's just
that covers the tracks Aerodynamic through to about like 3 or a couple of others. One second, which I think
like
takes us to a giant
from, would be like
Crescendolls. Aerodynamic is a hell of a track.
Yeah.
It's this sort of like. Van Halen-y, tappy guitar soloing, sort of like funky sort of thing, and then it like basically has this like outro of like about a minute and a bit, which is just like, this is a Bach piece. What is going on here? This is like that Yngwie Malmsteen sort of like neo-classical sort of shredding sort of stuff going on. It's like, what's this stuff? This seems a little bit more heavy metal than we expect out of you. Please don't put more guitars on the next album. This is really cool. Like,
yeah,
it's just
it's one of those you don't think much, and then when you listen to it, but when you hear like the little pieces, like they're doing the shredding over a part where it sounds very like a British comedy. Like there are two people in like, dressed up in like one-piece suits and it bowlers, and they're just like, they have canes and they're just dancing around town or something like that. And that's the image I get while over it there's this massive shredding, and so there's a lot going on here, and that it all comes out to the same song is pretty incredible. Like it's
very peculiar.
And a part of my personal history is that I used to be in a college skit show called The Worst Show. And before our television station got a come to Jesus moment, as our advisor called it, where it's just like, okay, you need to stop with this copyrighted stuff because this is going into public and people can sue us for this. You've got to stop using copyrighted stuff. We used aerodynamic for one of our skits where it's like, wow, it's unnaturally warm. What can we do today? Let's play soccer. It's like, but we don't have a ball. And then one of the cast members was like, I got this covered. And then he pulls his head off. And then we're just playing soccer with his head. And it's all very badly green screen. It's called The Worst Show. It's made by college kids. So it looks about as convincing as you'd expect. But aerodynamic is running underneath that when we start kicking his head around. So there you go. There's my visual connection to aerodynamic. The movie, meanwhile, is all the people in dark, like, invading the concert and, like, kidnapping the band.
Very, very different. It's just like, and obviously our sort of Harlock-esque hero, which is Arpeggius. Okay, a man, like, again, I can't believe, like, Daft Punk went, we're gonna call him Arpeggius. He sounds like a fucking Pokemon. This takes us through to Digital Love, which is a track I don't remember very much of. I know it's got some very nice vocals on it.
It's one of my favorite songs from the album. Like, it is a very basic love song, but this is where, like, the animation comes in to help the album, because this is about, like, the guy who chases after who is, like, a massive Shep, who is a shepherd, and he has a favorite store in the wherever, but but he is a huge fan of this group, and then suddenly realizes they've been kidnapped, and then he is the only person who follows them and then gets to Earth. And this is how he is, like, dreams of being with the band, dreams of being with Stella. Like, again, like, a sign of, like, when the Leiji Matsumoto stuff, he kind of comes off as, like, one of those people who does not understand parasocial relationships and probably is too close to this if he was in anything but a shallow music video film. But, don't think too hard about that.
He obviously buys just the covers that just have You know how, like, bands will do, like, particularly K-pop bands and idol bands will just do hey, there's a version for every single... But he just buys all of the Stella versions of everything. And it's like, my dude, the
Blackpink albums available at Target.
He is basically our audience surrogate. It's like, hey, we've got to go. He's our other Leiji Matsumoto hero who basically goes, I'm going to do a Harlock and go and rescue these people in my guitar-shaped spaceship.
The young and hopeful but young hero is how I describe this character in Leiji Matsumoto works, because they kind of have the, same, like, 3 or 4 characters. But, like, he chases after him in a ship that looks like a guitar, because, like, this is all built around this band.
Yep. The big guitar also appears on the poster for Interstella 5. The big guitar also appears on the cover of the poster for...
Yes.
Which is a very cool poster.
Yeah, it's a very like 80s poster. Like this is very Superman 3 where it's like there's the image in the square, but there's like black space outside of it to list the cast, and then they have the title, and then underneath it it's all the characters who are in it, like where they would normally put the actors. And it's a very like 80s, like I remember it specifically from Superman 3 or 4, like where they would have this kind of poster. So it fits with like the era that they're going with. And it's just a cool image by itself.
It is a very cool poster. It's the sort of thing like I can imagine it, a slightly arty students having around the place, because it's like, hey, Daft Punk are cool, and animation is cool. It's that sort of like it reminds me actually ironically of the sort of thing like the 80s, again going back to the 80s, the sort of the 80s film like heavy metal. It's got that sort of like same sensibility to it, which I think is sort of like the only thing I can easily compare this to in terms of, hey, it's a thing that basically leans heavily on music and the music leans heavily on it, and sort of like, they as a whole, it's like, hey, here's some like random B-sides and like lesser known tracks from some reasonably good heavy metal bands. We're gonna add these really cool images like based on pop comics to them, and it's like that sounds cool. Do that. That's a cool thing. And then they drop a car from space to Radar Rider, and it's like, this is the coolest shit I've ever fucking seen. Yeah.
So that's anyway, the sort of Digital Love, like it delivers the emotion of that sequence better than if you just had this guy who is like literally dreaming of Stella becoming his lover. Like it delivers the emotion and the heart of that into it, so it doesn't come off as creepy, even if you just like, if you think about it for 5 seconds, it's like, dude, no, dude, they're if you try anything like this, they're gonna arrest you. They're gonna throw you in a loony bin. But he's the hero now, and we buy that because Digital Love is a really good song.
Yeah. And obviously Digital Love goes into harder, better, faster, stronger, or hey, it's the most famous, arguably probably the most famous song Daft Punk ever did.
Yes, because it has been used in commercials. Like it's been used in a lot of things because it's just like an easy plug and play like thing for like, our product is better than everybody else's, but it's not specifically made to be a commercial. It is like you can tell like stuff that was actually made to be sold in commercials. This isn't that. It is a very catchy, very effective kind of corralling of what Daft Punk does and why they stick with you so long, because it is I mean, obviously repetition is something that kind of makes or breaks whether you're a bigger Daft Punk fan than you are. But
high technologic.
Yeah. But this is where it all comes together, and it's only 3:45. And there are the parts where they don't jam on like the chorus or like whatever. If you would consider the parts of the song that aren't the like main part of the song, like second chorus, like second breakfast, because it works exactly the same. But if you would take the parts out of that, it's also very interesting, and it's also very like, this gets in your head, it stays there, and the best part is you don't mind if it's in your head.
Yeah. And all of that sort of goes from this that do
boom boom boom. You know, which samples Cola Bottle Baby by Edwin Birdsong. Birdsong said this about the obviously the meeting with Daft Punk, and obviously goes, I recorded the track 30 years ago, and here comes some guys from France. I asked them, where did you find the music? And they said, I was going through bins and it popped out. It's like, yeah. You know, a lot of Daft Punk are very much like, which is what I liked about them as a group, is they're very much like, we sampled this like old funk record, and now we've basically made some like random, you know, keyboardist. Obviously, particularly, you know, obviously when we get to, you know, Robot Rock's, you know, sample of Breakwater's Release the Beast probably made Breakwater more for like 2 seconds of sampling than like they ever probably made in the rest of their career, which is fair enough.
Yes.
But it's like they have an ear for like taking these samples and just completely recontextualizing them, and it's just like it is just like it is the Daft Punk formula in short. It's like, hey, that's kind of like Daft Punk songwriting 101.
But it is condensed to the point where it's like not too long, where you're thinking about like, okay, we've done this is over, we can move on now, and it's not and it has extra pieces, and the pieces work just as well. Like when they do they're not doing it, there's a dun 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 dun, 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 and it's equally as strong as when they're hammering that, you know, those lyrics in.
Yeah.
So it's just a extremely well done song.
Yeah.
That is made to get in your head, and it stay there, and you're meant to enjoy it, and which is why it's in commercials, which is why Kanye uses it, and like there are a lot of reasons. Like, I need to like go into the full Kanye experience, but like Stronger is like, when they considered it one of the best songs of all time and all of that, I'm just like, it's all the strength of the Daft Punk song. Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger is the great thing, and you know, Kanye raps really great on that. And you know, that's not to say his skills, but like, it is I'm the best fucking rapper in the world, and you know, don't step up to me kind of song. It's like you can take his thing and leave it. It's all the Daft Punk sample that makes this from a pretty good Kanye song to like the level, which I just think means Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger is one of the greats of all time. And, you know, Kanye stuff is take it or leave it. And that's just how I view Stronger. And I'm sorry, Kanye fans, we're going to get Maniac coming out of the woodworks for that. No, actually not. He did this fantastic. He slowed it down, and then, you know, he changed all the beat. And it's just like, but the main thing I remember from that is still the Daft Punk sample.
Yeah. It's like yes, Kanye, congratulations, well done. You have found the best part of that song and sort of ridden it all the way to the top of the chart. Incidentally, says Kanye, have you seen Akira? It's like, yes, Kanye, we've all seen. We did a podcast on Akira, Kanye.
Yes.
If you are somehow listening, go listen to that, please, you know, leave us be. It's a perfect. Actually, the most influential thing that this bloody video did is those horrible bloody shutter shades. I don't understand why those ever became popular. Like, they are the most
I lived
bizarre.
I understand it. I am a person whose midlife crisis is pretending humanity didn't erase the year 1990. And that was one of the big things. Like, the 2015 future of Back to the Future 2 was the shutter shades. And you could get them at like Pizza Hut or I forget where, and those were the style of the future. And then Nirvana killed all of that. So I get that. I sort of get that. It's just like there's a lot of Kanye you have to wrestle with to give him credit, and not give him credit, and just like Kanye, stop. But
we are talking about 2007 Kanye, not current Kanye. 2007
current,
Kanye would hate current Kanye. Let's be frank. It's like, what have you done? What happened to the cool shades Kanye?
When I first heard about him, he was already kind of getting a huge ego about himself, and that's just me being late to the party. That's not anything else. So
when you're featuring Daft Punk on your track, you kind of have to have like a Daft Punk are like your feet, and you're not like Daft Punk feet. The only other person who's managed to like yoke Daft Punk to their sort of like creative process is The Weeknd, and The Weeknd's ego is like colossal.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that as a compliment. It is the only people who are going to sort of like go, Daft Punk, come work for me as beat makers, is people with colossal egos.
Yeah, and Daft Punk, as robot gentlemen as they were, they did show up at the Grammys and played with Kanye West in 2008. So they didn't. If they had any hard feelings, they didn't. Say much of that. No. They are.
I imagine they liked the large amount of money arriving in their bank account as like 2/3 of the songwriting.
Like they are, their persona once they turned into robots are very gracious people who play for the crowd, or the nightclub owner who wants them to play some rapturous music. Yeah. And they're just like, yep, we'll do that, and then they just do that.
What are we doing in the middle of this digital artificial inside game thing? We're Daft Punk. That's what we do.
We're Daft Punk. That's what they're doing. And
we move
like
in
Tron
very
Legacy,
mysterious ways.
There's an entire thing where they're not specifically programs that have a purpose. They are, programs that are used as an experiment for like artificial life. So there is that. It's in the plot, but that's a part of it that made the people who really liked the first Tron Tron Legacy is following this, but that's a long story for another day.
Tron Legacy is a very good soundtrack. It is like the biggest compliment I can pay to Tron Legacy, and indirectly therefore to Tron Ares, is everything apart from the original Tron. The soundtrack is the best thing about it.
Like, I'm not a huge fan of the original Tron. Like, it's fine. Like, these people worked their ass off for this to be this groundbreaking film, and I'm not going to take that away from them. It's just like the story about programs and how they would exist as their people. It is made by people who don't feel like dramatists, and all of these characters are really bland, and there's not a lot to them. There's not a lot to the story. It's just like it's this film concept, and the plot kind of falls into this. And Tron Legacy gets away from that part, but it's more of a movie with dramatic stuff and like acting and stuff like that. And then the third
Jeff Bridges
the Jeff Bridges being the dude, and then the third one is trying to be a combination of the two, but like Jared Leto kind of sinks that because he is trying to be a relatable dude, and he comes off like the T-1000 going, "Say, that's a nice bike," and that's how he comes off when he tries to be like a person, and it's very off-putting. Like Jared Leto at this point is the uncanny valley. And that's how it feels watching him.
And then just over the top, it's like, 9 Inch Nails are here, kids. Everybody likes 9 Inch.
And they went very hard on the bass in the movie theater, which is, I'm glad I didn't see it on the biggest screen with the greatest sound system, because like they went very hard on the bass when it came to like how they used the soundtrack in the film, and it is deafening at times.
I imagine, like, in about, obviously, we're saying this, like, the week after Nine Inch Nails have gone, hey, guess what? More Tron music. And released, like, an entire second companion record. The Tron Legacy soundtrack is great, but it is, like, it is part of an otherwise fairly solid product. You are not gonna, nobody is going to be watching Tron Ares in a decade. People will be listening to the soundtrack in a decade. That's
I will say people are still watching Tron Legacy right now. I don't think Ares, but like,
Martin Sheen is good. Martin Sheen's very good in it. And
Martin Sheen makes an entire universe out of his character.
Cillian Murphy's there for some reason. It's like, Cillian, what are you doing here? It's like, you know. Anyway, we have dallied in Tron long enough. And then we get to Crescendos, which is like, hey, being a superstar is really cool, except no, it's not.
And we're kind of going to get into how the 4/5s helps the album, because like I got the album like when it came out, and it was a couple years before you would be able to get the movie on DVD, or even like watch more of it than what was available on Cartoon Networks like Toonami, where they, you know, Adult Swim did like experiments with like music and websites, but before that they had like Toonami and, you know, other things where they tried to put music in and whatever else. They put like a few of the parts of Interstella as music videos to this, and I first saw those on the Toonami website. Yeah, and it's just like, you find out later there's a whole movie that's all of this, and I was a big 3.9 person, so I'm like, okay, I have to go to Sam Goody and get this, if that tells you, you know, the timeline when this happened.
That's a reference that escapes me, Joe, I'm going to be frank.
Sam Goody is a CD store that at the mall. It's like when Jack Black tells you to go to the mall in High Fidelity, that's the kind of store they're talking about.
Oh.
But
so like
they had a
HMV
better selection than most stores at the mall, because I could get imported Oasis singles from that had like the 5 or 6 tracks instead of like the 3 that they were putting on. But so like this, when I originally got the album, like the middle drags like Crescendos, Superheroes, and High Life kind of have the same thing, where Daft Punk have like the sample, I want to call it a sample hit, like an orchestra hit, and they'll play 1 or 2 of those, and it'll just be that sample and then the other sample hit, and then that'll just be the song for a minute and a half or so, and then they'll do some meandering, a little break, and then it'll come back in with these sample hits, and that's the entire song. And Crescendos definitely has that part of it, and you need the feeling of what goes with it to fully appreciate the song. Where it is the Crescendos like getting their record deal, and they're in the recording booth, and they're becoming the biggest motherfucking thing in the world. And that helps raise it a little bit. Because it definitely, the middle of it sometimes falls onto Daft Punk's like weak points, which this is what they would do in Human After All. Even, you know, Robot Rock, it is just them saying Robot Rock over and over, and there's not even like a break in the lyrics on like Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, or One More Time. or Too Long or something like that, where it is just these two ideas over and over and over and over until, you know, they meander. And especially in Human After All, they're like, when they start like scratching and, you know, doing whatever else, it starts to get really annoying, like, and repetitive really fast.
The kind of the worst culprit of that is, alongside Robot Rock, is definitely Technologic, which is just like, yeah, great. This is the robot voice is very annoying already. That's, you know, make it music, make it.
Although,
like, yeah,
you know,
don't make it,
like Robot Rock is the one thing you could salvage from it, because, you know, it's still catchy. It still has that harder, better, faster, stronger, where, you know, when they're talking, it hits you. And, you know, it was still used in commercials, of course, but it was already a weaker version of harder, better, faster, stronger, and then the rest of the album is just like the worst parts of themselves. And then the Alive tour came after that, like, kind of fed into like half of that album being or you know, the DVD, because they had to use the songs that they just made, which you know, kind of explains they kind of dropped off between like 2006 and then the Tron Legacy soundtrack, and then we were reminded, oh yeah, Daft Punk is awesome. But you know, that's neither here or there.
The gentlest thing you could say about like about like the entirety of Human After All is in a live setting and mixed with other Daft Punk songs, it's not bad, ? But it is like it starts to become really noticeable. It's like, yes, this starts getting used in adverts for, like, you know, telephones, and it's like, right, I see. What you've basically done, Daft Punk, is you've created a music music for adverts, and that's never like particularly good.
And it's usually
sort of brain numbing.
Weakest album, like, even though it's not very long, it feels like the 90s albums, you know, like we talked about Oasis' Be Here Now, where everything is so long and everything just underlines the weakness of the band, or like they're because they have so much stuff in there and it's all like doing the same thing, and it's so long that you can't help but notice what they don't do right. And even though Human After All isn't that mammothly long, it doesn't have the other parts. It is just their shortcomings repeated over and over again, and one of them just happens to be really catchy.
Yeah. It's sort of also the point, I think, certainly, we'll get back to actually discovering in a minute. The Human After All is where Daft Punk become, like, reactive rather than proactive. It's like when, you know, other like, French bands, like, for example, Justice, sort of go, yeah, we can do that, but there's also, guess what? There's also two of us. We can also do this, you know, rock, and you can do this electronic-y rock thing, but we do it better. We get, you know, something like Justice's Cross, which is just like this massive slab of, like, you know, electronic rock. Incidentally, Cross also comes out within weeks of, like, Human After All, which is sort of an indication of, like, Daft Punk are no longer in a, you know, a rarefied air. They have extreme competition and aren't doing, like, particularly well when they have particular competition.
Yeah.
Cross is a great record, by the way. It's it's obviously that sort of second wave of, you know, French house, but it's sort of like, you know, but then again, Justice wouldn't be here, and Justice wouldn't be doing the albums they do without Daft Punk, I don't think. Anyway, where were we? Yes, the middle of the album. I like Crescendos. Crescendos is a fine track. It is that sort of slightly manic energy.
Yeah.
Slightly manic energy.
And it's a lot more exciting when it has something to grapple onto, instead of just like, okay, there are these like 2 bursts of voices being excited, and like, yeah, check this out. What are we checking out? I don't know. You haven't given me something to check out. Crescendo's the song.
Oh, right.
Okay. Okay.
Crescendo's the music video. Oh, right.
Band. We're checking out this new hot band in America, and they're becoming the hugest thing ever. Okay, got it.
Here's a montage of how this song, which also, by the way, the actual song in Interstella 5555 is just one more time. It's like that's an interesting. Are you implying you stole this song, Daft Punk, because you actually appear in this movie? And like, yeah, that's a very strange moment, which we'll get to in a bit. But you know, the middle sort of 3 of which Crescendo's night vision superheroes, and to a certain extent High Life, just sort of for me blend into this like 9 or 10 minute track that's like, hey, this is the middle of the film. This is like how being a rock and roll star is not good, and this evil guy who definitely hasn't been alive for hundreds of years, harvesting like the essence of
their
gold,
essence and
the inner like the his Darkwood's plot does not make sense.
No, it doesn't. It like if you again, this is not a thing you were meant to think about for more than like a few seconds at a time. Like, I mean, I get, like, if he were to create the entire music industry, and my phone is ringing, and that is potential spam, no.
No. It's Daft Punk, they want to be on the episode.
Yeah. But, night vision is kind of a transition from one thing to another, and in the movie they just use it like, the alien guy is on Earth, and he's trying to figure out where they are and what they're doing, but he's kind of in the trash, and he's with the homeless people, and like these brainwashed band people aren't being treated well. They're being overworked, and they're just being treated like machines, which is weird because they are being treated as machines. Spoiler, by machines. Because,
not machines by machines.
Yes.
Machines by machines. Endlessly repeating. Wait a minute, that's Blade Runner. Let's not get Blade Runner involved. The weirdest thing, like, I have like one question for like Leiji Matsumoto or whoever did like the character designs for this. It's like the character designs are great on this, but it's like there's occasionally a question of like going, okay, did we go for like because like all the rest of them are like standard rock guys, and it's like we made Octave has an afro. Why? What? I see, because he's the keyboard player. I see. Right. It's like, nothing about this guy's alien physiognometry is suggesting like 1970s funk, synthesizer player to me. But apparently Darkwood is just casually racist.
Oh yeah.
Yes, you are the keyboard player. You will be black.
Yeah, he becomes a taxi driver later, which is like, we're playing with certain cliches here, like the quote unquote ethnic one is a taxi driver or just the driver.
But it's good that they, obviously the drummer, who again I have to remember they have fucking names. Barrel is the drummer. That's like one letter off Daryl. So they just went and look. They obviously clearly just went and went. Yep, we looked at renowned singer-songwriter. Christ, he's the guy in Demon Fans with the Paradise. I forget his name. Who actually is also on a Daft Punk album. Paul Williams. We just made Paul Williams a tiny drum man, and he's just like.
Or as you said earlier, Keith Moon. Or something like that.
It is very much, or even Lars Ulrich. He's got that like we made this blue guy Lars Ulrich because why?
And he kind of reminds me of the lead singer of Fall Out Boy.
Oh God.
Like the little guy who kind of looks like he would be an AC/DC understudy.
Yes. There's a very strange like selection of people. It's like there's like obviously during Better, Faster, Stronger, there's sort of like little indications of their backstories, and Daryl is just like beating on other children. It's like Yeah. That one gets the cosplay
Yeah,
Captain
the
Harlock,
potato
like.
kids in Leiji Matsumoto's world do not play by your rules.
Apparently in like the fictitious universe.
Small spoiler for Galaxy Express 39. The main character, after watching his mother get killed for sport by a robot Duke or Baron, I think it's a Baron, because this one's a Duke.
It's always evil Barons.
Depending on which source, which adaptation or the original source, like in the TV series, he just gets a gun, goes into the Baron's place, and shoots the Baron dead and his friends. And this is the child main character of Galaxy Express 39, which tells you, like, kind of where humanity is at in this universe.
It's a very Leiji Matsumoto's view on like humanity sort of comes and goes, and it's like sometimes he's actually quite optimistic, and sometimes it's like, no, humanity is shit. Humanity just kidnap these poor alien people and just like whisk them off to be rock stars, and it's like, kind of lost where we are in the narrative now.
Okay,
right,
we're in superheroes. Which, of all of the sampling, Barry Manilow.
Yep. What's part?
I'm wondering what part is that, like the Through the Arrow? I don't know.
I'm assuming so. It's like I don't know Barry Manilow's discography tremendously well. It's like it kind of falls into that section of like going. It's that very. It's very obviously it's that acid minimalism. It's going back to the soundtrack of the sensibilities of Homework, and fine.
Yeah. And it kind of falls along the same lines as Crescendos, that it's kind of like it uses that and Through the Arrow, but the image you can actually think of something like different than like Interstellar 555, which is them becoming the biggest fucking band in the world, like winning the gold record thing, which is the replacement for the Grammy, and what secretly powers the underground machine that takes over the universe or whatever. And it's the last one they need. And then they have this stadium where they show up in a Zeppelin, and they fill a stadium bigger than the Beatles would, of course. And then
that's what you do when you're the biggest band in the world, and just go, big stadium, please, thank you. Shep arrives and frees everybody apart from Stella.
Except for Stella, and Stella is just left there to, do whatever, because they've ran out of time, because surprise, the guards are robots. And yes, and they chase them around, and even after they get wrecked in a car chase, they still chase after them. But
they sort of terminated their way out of that situation.
Movie, you still get the feeling of this superhero flying in the air, and you can still get the idea of the song without feeling like there's nothing there.
Which brings us on to track
8.
Yeah, and then track 8, yes, and High Life, High Life is fine. High Life is sort of like, hey, this is our big dramatic moment, and Chef is dying, and they've got to go rescue Stella from
they don't really do anything. I think that she probably gets a solo career after that, but she's at a fashion show, and then they're hidden in the fashion show, and then surprise, they break her brainwashing, and then rescue her out of that.
Gets to cosplay Captain Harlock for some reason.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You gotta.
Yeah. You gotta. It's Leiji Matsumoto's director. You gotta go give an obligatory Harlock sort of cameo thing.
Yeah. And the song itself falls somewhere between Crescendos and Superheroes, where it does bring this idea of High Life and this fashion show, you can think of what this resembles without having to crank your brain, but it is still built on that ba and just doing that over and over and over. And this is the third song in 4 tracks that they're doing this. so you kind of, okay, Daft Punk, I get the idea that we're throwing them out here. And this
is the fourth time you've based a song around a sample and repeated the sample ad nauseum for 3 to 4 minutes. We've got it. It works. Well done. Yes, this is like I can understand like the sensibility of this being like, hey, if you're a DJ and you're gonna probably like put these in amongst other tracks, you know, when you're doing your DJ set, or you know, you could just sit and listen to this because obviously they, you know, on vinyl and you know sort of like the whole. But I can sort of see for like, you know, the audiences of the 2000s where it goes, hey, I'm going to digitally download this. Oh my god, this middle like 4 tracks of the record are really boring and don't really have very much to do with the, you know, you pick like 2 or 1 or 0 of these things and go, right, wonderful.
And especially if you're just looking for like songs, like regular songs that have lyrics and, you know, are kind of a jam or something, or you know, something like that. Like it's like the biggest knock against EDM is it's just so repetitive and the songs are just so basic, which Daft Punk aren't. Like, they do some real experimenting, and like how they come up with these sounds are amazing. It's just like when it gets integrated like this and when you repeat it so much, then you kind of get that in your head, and then once you get to Human After All, it doesn't leave your head. And that's you know, that's kind of, but you know, like I said, Interstella 5.5 gives like images to that. It gives something to pay attention to besides, you know, the song itself, and it creates this like mood and energy that allows you to keep going with the album in ways that otherwise, like I said, when I had my 10 gigabyte eMac and I had to pick and choose what songs for my collection, I kind of like cut out the middle of the album. So like from Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, it picks up at Something About Us, and that's just kind of how I decided to edit this album when I had limited space.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it kind of like the album sort of gets I definitely think a kick in terms of like the energy once we get to Something About Us, which is like, I think it's the prettiest song on the album.
Yeah, it is probably my favorite part of the album, and it's just like in Interstellar 555, it just like cements that, oh my god, I am feeling something right now for this, you know, thing that had been mostly being fun, and it's just like, oh, it's a goofy little cartoon music video movie, don't take it too seriously, and it's like, oh shit. Like, because Shep is, you know, dying, and then, you know, they kind of get the idea of who they are, and, you know, they promise to get to the truth and figure out what's going on, and like, there's Something About Us. Again, it's a very basic song, but you feel it so much when it's combined with what's happening in the movie and what's you're hearing, and it just comes together in ways, you know, if you're Pitchfork, you can't, you know, immediately like dissect and describe mechanically. It just does. You feel it's emotional, and you know, it's like, this is special. This is like when you this is special. This whole experiment, both things, they're way better than I've been giving it credit for, you know, going through the album.
Yeah, definitely. It's sort of where the album sort of like gets, and the film to a certain extent gets a sort of sense of purpose and energy back, and it's very pretty. And the animation is very, very nice as well. It's like, hey, this is what Shep actually feels about you, Stella, and yeah, he's dead now, so you're gonna have to think about that now, aren't you? And it's like, right,
Yeah.
Yeah. But ironically, I think it's the song before. It's like, no, it is the track. It is High Life. High Life just sort of features this this little cameo from a certain two Frenchmen, like as robots.
Yes.
Or, like,
Yeah, they're at the
kind
not Grammys, like the Gold Record Awards, where they're one of
makes
the
you
Album
wonder,
of the
like-
Year. And they lose, and of course they're gentlemen robots. They're like, great. Like one of them has great, and then they applaud. Like, you know, they're happy for the people who won.
Yes, wonder what 2002 like anime Daft Punk are doing, because obviously they can't be doing this because like unless like the alternate universe version of Discovery has all of the tracks apart from One More Time, which very, very strange that this is a four-piece band producing music very close to electronica. I'm gonna stop thinking about this particular
I know, I
line
know,
of inquiry.
I gotcha.
It makes you stop
I
with your head
understand,
hurt
because at the
after.
end, like, it implies that, like, it's the same universe at the end, and then there are Daft Punk albums next to the action figures of the aliens, and all of this. It's like,
it starts to make you wonder, like, how much of this is like, you know, there's like, is this a film inside the universe? We're gonna move away from this line of questioning in my head. let's stop thinking about that, and you know, continue with the rest of Interstellar 55 and not go down mysterious plot holes of how real are Daft Punk anyway.
well, I'll talk about my impression at the end, but you know, in the meantime, Voyager, which feels like another transition song, and it's a, you know, transition in the movie where just like, okay, we know, you know, our mind control is broken. This alien came down and, you know, died and basically, you know, gave us a mission. Now we have to do this mission.
Yeah, it has that sort of driving sense of purpose, and like there's, you know, that again, Daft Punk's instrumentals are underrated. I think they're always quite, you know, they've always got like a sense to, even the ones where it's just like, here is a sample, we're gonna ride this sample for 3 minutes. It's still kind of cool, and you know, that very 80s sound to that, and very funky.
Yeah, it's very funky, and you know, it gives you an image, because you can, it's Voyager, so you get the feeling of traveling, and you don't need the movie to tell you, oh, they're traveling now and they're going to this. Everybody's moving that now. There's a mission. We're doing this.
Yeah. It is very much like, you know, that's the thing, you know, that is certainly one of the sequences, I think, where the music and the film match together very, very well. Definitely. And then we have Veris Quo, which is Veridis Quo.
Very
which
disco.
is just very disco, which is sort of like, again, back to the sort of same Baroque sensibilities as the same Baroque sensibilities as aerodynamic, and sort of goes, hey, you know our mysterious music industry guy, guess what, he's evil and has been alive for hundreds of years. And like, who could have possibly predicted that Earl Darkwood could be evil.
Earl of Darkwood, yes. The Baron is 39, but yes.
How could he be so evil? And he's got this book about how he's basically been turning, like, you know, aliens into rock stars for like hundreds of years, and you know, guess what? Mozart was an alien. It's sort of thing, like, you know, that sort of like, I can imagine, like, I don't know, some slightly conspiracy theorist like Alex Jones just going, the aliens are all pop stars. We stole so many aliens, you know, to be pop stars. And, you know, this guy's got a plan. A mysterious figure repeatedly appears through history. It's like, yeah, and then he's got like this whole cult of devotees, which means like, this guy has like got fat. Basically Baron Earl Darkwood has explained this to other people, and other people have gone, yeah, this sounds like a cool thing I wanted.
Yeah, he's created this
I don't want to be a rock star. I want to be part of the weird cult. It's like
the rock star cult, where if you make this many gold record awards, you can put it into this machine, and this machine allows you to control the universe.
Oh. And the mysteriousness is on Earth, the only Earth, a nation, a planet which canonically is not the only planet to produce music.
Yes. Yeah, it has to be made here, and they have to be made into Earth. So I'm guessing it's just to have a base of operations instead of like when you imagine a Street Fighter tournament and like not having it at one place, so people just once you go from like Australia to New York, and then you go from New York to Europe and all of that, the costs add up. So like they need a base of operations, otherwise you're going to rack up like expenses and who knows what else. So that it has to be here, but they have to have the
plane.
But I don't know how much the make these things human and brainwashing devices and the memory, tracks will set them back, and that offsets the cost savings. But again, this is not a movie you think about, and especially like at the end of this, why is there this Stella-shaped hole, and they have to put Stella in there to make the machine work if it's the records that make the machine work?
Yeah, it's all very strange, and like there's a lot of like I don't think Earl Darkwood really thought this one through, because it's like, dude, you could control like the entire universe with the tools you have. You could like go and grab like people who are not pop stars and just grab military leaders and go, yeah, we're just going to take over the universe now with all these guys I brainwash. No, I'm going to do it via the power of gold discs and extremely funky music. What a strange man. He's got a really good character design, annoyingly. I mean, he's got this sort of like, very 70s, 80s anime villain look. And then there's like the guy who actually runs the record label, who's just this normal looking guy.
Yeah, he's just this generic nice guy who, like, man, I hope he has a personal life, because he's just like after all of this, he's just hanging out at the record label at the top floor. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, maybe he has his apartment there. That's just where he's living until, he gets a family and stuff. But I hope he's not staying there all night. I mean, he runs the record label, so he's probably got tons of shit to do. Like, that used to be what people did before, they just took like 4-week vacations and then came back to fire everyone.
Yeah, it's very much like, and then sort of post that weird supernatural thing, we get Short Circuit, which is apparently, from what Daft Punk describes it as, is the sound of like the record rebooting, and it's like, and then you sort of get the last sort of third quarter of the movie, which is basically our friends try to get off planet Earth now.
Yeah, Short Circuit is kind of like if you needed generic 80s like hip hop beat for a movie, and you didn't want to pay like a rap star. This is the kind of music you would put, but it's like the best version of that. Like, it is very funky. It is very fresh, as the not kids would say.
It's kind of interesting because this is like the only time that. So apparently, Daft Punk, during like the production of this, was saying they had been very, very heavily influenced by Aphex Twin's Window Licker, which is a hell of a thing to go. Oh yeah, that was from. And this is like the only point where I listen to this and go, yeah, I can hear a little bit of Daft Punk trying to do a sort of more francophone Window Licker sort of sensibility.
Yeah. It doesn't really match up, but then again, it's just like a lot of Daft Punk. Like they try to make a lot of the other stuff their own, and they do a mostly good job of it.
Yeah, we get then from that sort of the album sort of reboots, and we get sort of our attempts to leave planet Earth, and we get Face to Face, which is probably the most poppy track on the album.
Yeah, it probably should have been the end of the album, or if you can cut like 5 minutes off too long, that you probably could have, pulled it off a little better. Again, I am nitpicking so much. This is a 9 out of 10 album. Like, to me, I'm like, it is one of my favorites. I hold it near and dear. We just have to talk about things sometimes, and like, too long and Face to Face, like together as they are a little bit too much of a wrap up for this album. Because Because if you ended it with Face to Face, you're just like, yeah, that's really good. Oh my goodness, yeah. I feel really good after listening to this.
Yeah, Face to Face features First off, Face to Face features the music producer Todd Edwards, who's nicknamed the God. Todd Edwards would later appear on another Daft Punk song, which the name escapes me at the moment. 1 second. 1 second. And then it also contains like 70 samples of various like bits and pieces. People are still finding. I think the most recent sample was found in like June 2023. Considering this album, this album came out like nearly over 2 decades before that. And most of it was Todd Edwards like holding up a floppy disk and going, "This is everything I sampled on this." It's just tremendous. It's so dense, and yet it all comes together like incredibly, well.
Yeah, and it's put together like a regular song, which is why it kind of works so well as this, because it doesn't work like how Daft Punk normally operates a song, and to a certain extent, One More Time, Digital Love, and Something About Us are by other artists and they bring their own thing, but there is a Daft Punk sensibility to it where Face to Face, this feels like it would be its own song even without Daft Punk. It could be able to exist past it, but that it has all of these samples and that everything flows and it has these pieces. What is added to it makes it a really great song, especially in context with the movie, which is just it's the Earthlings all deciding to help these aliens get back to their home, and that. I do like that there's some, they're worried about it because there's, a lot of it is the people walking to the beat of the song as it goes along. And part of it is, doctors walking in to look at, and they look kind of similar, or sinister, I should say. And, are they going to dissect them? What? And then they're just okay, we're going to figure out how to put you back the way you were. We're going to figure out how all of this stuff works. We're going to find the book, and we're going to get you back to your home planet. And, in between this, they've been sneaking back into, in the middle of Short Circuits, they sneak back into the record company, and, once the owner finds them, they're like, what happened to you people? And then, because of the police response, one of them gets injured and they have to go to the hospital, and then suddenly the truth comes out, and then humanity and the aliens reunite, and it's just at Face to Face, and it's just such a good feeling with the song, with what's happening in the movie, that
it's a good vibe.
You don't get to feel very often, especially right now.
It's a very Leiji Matsumoto sort of hey, despite adversity. It's the sort of thing obviously he goes into a lot in Harlock and a lot into, Yamato, where he goes, despite humanity having battled with each other over the years, it's if humanity wants to do something, to, for the betterment of something, they will do it, and here's them doing it, and hey, we've got our alien friends rehabilitated, and they've got their memories back, and all is well. Look, humanity aren't that bad.
And then we get to Too Long, which is the ending, and I feel with a lot of these things, Halfway from the Gutter to the Stars, we talked about that, and the ending song is just this. I don't want to say Halfway from the Gutter to the Stars isn't as simple. It's probably one of the more complex Fatboy Slim, but it's everything it does is stretched out and put into overdrive. And Too Long is like a very simple version of that, where it is 10 minutes long, and there's just kind of one verse. I mean, probably two verses, and then the chorus, and it's kind of acts like a 3 to 4 minute song, but it's 10 minutes long because we have these stretches, and then there's this kind of feeling where they're ending, and it just keeps going and going and going, and we're like, okay, we can drop. You can really stop this song now. You can stop this song now. But I don't mind it, but
it is too long, Daft Punk. It is too damn long. It's about sort of 3 minutes too damn long. But it is very much like let the credits roll over this like incredible long. Like I imagine live, this must be really cool to just drop at the end of a set and just go, fuck it, let's just drop that and just walk off.
Mm-hmm.
Like that makes
but
sense.
It's also a good like wrap up of the movie, even though itself is just like we kind of get the idea. Like they're going back and then they're suddenly relearning music, and then they play this new song Too Long with on their home world, and then the Earth people are listening to it as well, and they're all celebrating together, even though like continuity error. Like one of the locations the Earthlings are celebrating is like the Great Pyramids of Giza, where it's the moon is out and it's complete darkness, and then there's an African tribe jumping around to it, presumably on the same continent, where it's broad daylight, like the middle of the day.
Yeah. Maybe they just got to unloop. Joe, we're trying to like get a continuity here. It's in a music video. Basically a music video.
I know. It's my own version. This might be too long. Too much about this.
This may have gone too long. No, it's sort of like it wraps the album up, and then the shock of shock. We pull back from like to reveal, hey, this whole thing has been a child dreaming because we Super Mario 2'd ourselves.
Yes, it is from the imagination of a kid who was listening to the entire album, fell asleep while playing with their crescendo dolls. I mean, in their actual alien form. Yep. And then there's all the Daft Punk albums, and
there's a little plushie Earl, and for some reason he's also got little plushie versions of like the 2 robot bodyguards. Mm-hmm. And that's a little bit weird as a toy line, but okay.
Figures.
I'm assuming
probably
so,
has action figures. They're just like bigger action figures than I had in the late 90s and early 2000s. Like they got, like when adults started collecting them, and like they weren't for kids anymore, so they had to make the really big detailed ones. You got some of those.
And Daft Punk here as little plushies are.
Yes.
I want these things. I must have them.
And
I want a plushie Daft Punk, please.
Beyond, thinking about the universe, this is bringing it around thematically and just bringing the whole experience around, because the band got together because it was two guys who liked a lot of the same things, and they got together and then made this band, and then this album is like taking a lot of things they loved and making it something new, and now this is like the nostalgia of creating this story, and back, and also reflecting on the audience back when they were kids and did this thing. And it kind of makes up for Too Long being too long, because Discovery got stuck at the end, and it's just the record going around and around and around. That's why it's too long. And it wraps up the movie well, even if they could have wrapped it up 3 minutes early.
Yeah, but it is sort of like, it is the logical answer to sort of like, how do you end this thing? It's like, it's a child's dream inspired by the album, but the child also has like merchandise of this thing. So does this exist in the world? Do the crescendos actually exist in this world? Did Daft Punk, inspired by like the events of like what happened to the crescendos, like go and do an entire rest of the album? What is the continuity in this universe? Why are there like, is this a fictitious thing which Daft Punk did the soundtrack for? One's brain starts to make those sort of little popping noises after a while and trying to work out. Like, it's a very Leiji Matsumoto like ending of going, you know, this is essentially a product of childhood nostalgia, and, you know, Daft Punk, I feel, this is like harking back to our childhoods of, like, you know, anime and, you know, you know, but although probably I don't know whether Daft Punk would have actually known it as anime, or, like, you know, and you know, this sort of the 70s music which inspired them. I think it is a very smart and very metatextual ending.
Yes. And I think that about does it. Like, okay, we went longer than the album, but we did not go as long as the album and the movie back to back. So we are at about an hour and 50, and back to back the album and the movie would be 2 hours.
Yes. You have like another 9 minutes to which to sit and watch the credits and listen to too long for another. I mean, this is a fantastic record. It's a solid movie, and, like, as a package, I think this is, like, genuinely one of the best, like, you know, albums that also has a movie attached sort of things, like, period. Like, there aren't many of these. Like, there's a reason why bands at the height of their powers sort of, like, do these things even bands at the top of their powers do things like this very, very occasionally, because it's just, like, they're exorbitantly expensive, and it's difficult enough to promote an album without promoting an album and a movie. But this is a great album. This is, like, you know, there are a lot of groups, I think, a lot of people working in electronic music now who doubtless, you know, have been influenced to sort of go into that sort of line of work and to sort of create electronic music by this record. You know, it's not flawless. I don't think any record is truly flawless. But, you know, as a film and as an album, it is a fine piece of work.
I absolutely love both, even though I have recognized, you know, their shortcomings openly and wholeheartedly. But yeah, and I think both of them create this one package, which, you know, eventually would pay off in making Daft Punk like one of the beloved bands, even though, like, they disappeared off the map after Human After All, and then they sort of, like, when they were announced for Tron, like, hey, okay, cool, they got them, okay, good call, and then you know, like, the Tron Legacy soundtrack got good marks, but it was still, like, there was a huge, like, kind of knock on them. That they just did the sound effect and then just put beats around it, and that's how they did the soundtrack to Tron Legacy. That's not what they did.
No.
And, you know, but then they had to do, you know, random access memories to just, like, oh yeah, Daft Punk's great. They're one of the legends. Like, finally, these people are the legends, and, you know, we love them so much that, like, when they announced their breakup, it's just like, no.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
you're not allowed
it's weird that an EDM band where the gimmick is they're both robots, and that is our, like, Beatles breakup of the time, and that's just, like, that's the thing that hits us in the gut, because, like, you know, they're personas. I don't know who they are. Like, again, personas are different from who they are, and, you know, it could be an act, it could be whatever. I mean, I've heard they're very nice guys, you know, and, you know, but, like, like, these two robot gentlemen have been just, like, you know, a part of us for so long that they become the nostalgia that they built themselves around, and it doesn't have the artificial nostalgia of, like, a Ready Player One. They became the figure. They became the people that you would make action figures, and the kids would, like, fall asleep after, you know, playing men, and, you know,
they themselves became they themselves became, like, a nostalgic thing, you know, in the same way that their work, which explored nostalgia, you know, the discovery and rediscovery of like the things that made, you know, invigorated, you know, which, you know, obviously you know, the things that our childhood were made of that made us who we are. You know, Daft Punk became themselves an influencer, and, you know, by obviously, you know, their collaboration, regardless of what degree Leiji Matsumoto was actually involved with it, their collaboration with Leiji Matsumoto, they themselves created an anime film that sort of, you know, the younger Daft Punk would have found, you know, enthralling and fascinating.
Yes. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. We got, you know, 5 minutes, 4 minutes, give or take. How much you want to include the slapped-on credits with the Club Daft credit remix that is not on the Club Daft Punk remix album.
It's a perfectly decent remix of Aerodynamic, but it's not one. Yeah.
And also, one last note for the movie, I have to hoard the 2003 DVD version because there was essentially no master of this film.
Nope.
And when they redid the Blu-ray, they did a bad job of it, and the coloring's all off. And then when they did the 4K remaster, they did it with AI. And unfortunately, Daft Punk
bad.
AI, it completely misunderstands what the movie is going for. Like, it makes the dream sequence sharp when it's not supposed to be.
Yeah.
And there's just so much problems when you look, you know, deeper than where you're supposed to look. So, like, I have to keep the 2003 DVD. I don't know how much that's worth these days. About as much as, like, the 20th anniversary Daft Punk version re-release of Discovery that's all Japanese packaging, I imagine, unless you go through AliExpress, which is clearly bootlegging it, but yeah.
Yeah, it would appear quite a bit. But yeah, you know, that's the sort of the only real, like, downer to this is, like, unfortunately, you know, and this is the thing, like, you know, it would be very easy to a Daft Punk to go, fuck it, you know, and Daft Punk, if you are listening, bonjour, by the way, you know, please do re-release this as, like, a 25th anniversary, like, thing, and just make this a better, please, like, go into the bowels of Turry for us as one last sort of thing as Daft Punk, and just please re-release this film in, like, a good, cleaned up copy.
With these things going, like, I was a nobody in the industry for 1 year, and, you know, I followed it, but, like, you have to get very lucky. I mean, they have the song Get Lucky,
completely.
And maybe play that over and over until you find, like, the master or something, because, like, the people who remastered Project A-ko, they did various expensive stuff to, like, try to make it as good as quality, and then somebody working on another Kickstarter found the master to the film they were working on and sent it to them. So
I
they gotta hope something like that happens.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they
does
don't have
happen
the ability
occasionally,
to do that without, you know, grueling effort and, like,
Peter
for a
Jackson,
product which I don't know if they would consider it worth it, because it's not like the it wouldn't be the high definition that you know, that is a current standard that we expect. So, you know, but it's also a movie from 2000. It's also a Digipaint from 2004. So, you know, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, exactly. This is the thing, like, you know, this is already now, this is the thing when we talk about albums that are 20, 25 years old, they are becoming, you know, that's a quarter of a century ago, that's a product of its time, you know, you have to understand when you listen to, like, this record, you ever watch these films, it's like, you know, we this is already technology we have lost or are losing, you know, but anyway. So that's Daft Punk Discovery. We have now a massive gap of several months before we talk about another anniversary episode, and it is a big one. It is we are finally tackling the musical Mount Everest that is the goddamn Beatles.
Okay.
We are talking Revolve.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
I'm like, which one of the two albums that are my favorite did we agree? And yeah, Revolver, we got it.
Revolver. Probably, if Discovery changed electronic music, Revolver changed music. As simple as
Yes.
that. We will be talking about Revolver in August. We've really not paced these well this year. We've got we're barely we're 2 weeks into March, and we've done 3 anniversary episodes. We haven't got another one now until August, but which means we probably might get round to doing some numbered episodes,
because we still got a couple animes that lean towards the gay.
Oh boy. And trashy in my cases, yeah, and
they're
Utada
both
Hikaru
trashy, but
album.
one's trashy with a bunch of dudes, and one's trashy with a bunch of girls. So it's an even trade-off.
and an Utada Hikaru album somewhere in there as well, and yeah, this should be an interesting.
Maybe Proto Man Act 3. Who knows? We're making this up as we go.
You'll probably you'll definitely get at least a couple of anniversary episodes between now and August. Why did I plan this like this? Anyway, you can find us on Patreon. If you want to go, hey, do you know what? I want you to talk about Human After All, and we go, okay, then fine. You can, or if you want us to talk about Homework is a great record. It's very sort of like bedroomy electronica, but it is a good record. Or you could even talk about Random Access Memories or the Tron soundtrack. Anyway, but if you want us to if you want us to do an episode, we are open to Patreon suggestions. So if you sign up to our Patreon and suggest something, we'll get round to it. We'll do it. It will be done. But you can find us on Patreon, and the Patreon obviously always comes up at the end of the episodes now because I've made sure it does, which is patreon.com/The Thom and Joe Show. Tom is spelled with a H. But until next time, I've been Tom.
I've been Joe, and we are at, over 2 hours, so this podcast has gone farther. So you could say this podcast has been going on too long.
Au revoir.